Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the King of Armor Destruction, the Armor Wizard. Zap, and we have a body armor demo today. Drop a comment below if you know what this shirt from Midwest Armor is in reference to. For the chopping block today, Highcom 3S9M. Let's show these guys on the table and look at what we've got to do today. Now, in full transparency, I purchased these direct from Highcom with a discount. I did have a few of my followers and Patreon members donate some funds to help offset the cost of these because it gets expensive destroying over $1,000 of plates. This particular 10 by 12 plate weighs 5.325 pounds or 2.418 kilograms. It's approximately 1.20 inches thick, a little thick, or 30.48 millimeters. I do want to mention that Highcom lists this plate as a nominal size of 10 by 12, but it actually measures 9.5 by 11. Our 3S9M in this case is multi-curve. You can see that nice sexy curve there and there. Now, this doesn't happen too often, but we actually have a sponsor for today's video, again, to offset the cost of those, and that is Apex Armor Solutions. I'll put his link in the description below. John has a wide variety of plates from Highcom, Tenkati, and LTC, as well as plate carriers and other accessories. So if you're looking for someone knowledgeable in the field of body armor and you're looking to pick up a set of Highcom 3S9Ms, definitely go click his link in the description below. Now, if this is the first time you're viewing my YouTube channel, we do all of our body armor demos completely different than everyone else on YouTube. I'm after worst case scenario. Since this is rifle armor, we shoot at 45 feet. We also shoot at 0 degrees because that represents worst case scenario. Since this armor employs a ceramic strike face per the NIJ, we've gone ahead and dropped each plate on its face 2 times as a preconditioning test, and the plate you see here on the left has been dropped 5 times. We tested the Highcom 4S17Ms a while back, and they're using some kind of plastic drop face protectant on here. It's like a honeycomb, and we dropped that plate on its face 10 times and there was no cracking, so I wanted to just beat this one up a little bit, so we dropped it 5 times. After we've done our drop test, we mark each one with a DT and then the amount of times that we've done it if it's over 2. We apply torque to each side to listen for any cracking, and then if we don't hear any, we mark it with a TQ. As far as I can tell off the bat, our 3S9Ms employ a complete edge-to-edge ceramic strike face, meaning that if we were to peel this cover off and go out to this edge or very close to it, that ceramic would extend all the way out to the edge. Be warned, there are some manufacturers and retailers who will sell you a lighter plate because it has a foam non-ballistic edge on the outside and your ceramic doesn't go all the way out to the edge. We also use a giant clay briefcase filled with Roma Plastilina #1 clay, and that acts as our compressible media that we put the armor up against. Now, the NIJ, they have an environmental chamber and they heat that thing up to 100 degrees and they drop a 22 millimeter stainless steel ball on it and they measure the dimple. I'm out here in my backyard. It's about 70 degrees outside today. We're looking at a representation of what back face could be. Now, if we shoot M80 ball at this and we get a dimple of like 60 to 70 millimeters in my clay and actual NIJ clay, that would be failing. We use a chronograph whenever possible, a Procono PAL Digital DLX, because we need to know the velocity of that round. If the Highcom 3S9M rates M80A1 at 2750 feet per second, and I shoot M80A1 out of a 24-inch barrel and I get 3,000 feet per second and we get a penetration, that's because I had extra velocity, and that's not what Highcom designed that plate for. And on the flip side, it's possible for some people at times to reload some of those cartridges and produce less velocity, and that's not what we're about here. We're about full transparency. We want worst case scenario so that, again, in the real world, if someone shoots something with a 10.5 or a 16-inch barrel, those velocities are going to be a lot less than my barrel lengths. We also put a spreadsheet here at the beginning and the end, and we kind of foreshadow all the threats that we're going to shoot at it. We fill out our penetrations and velocities, and in the end we do a teardown to confirm that we have edge-to-edge ceramic strike face and just what the guts look like, because I'm always interested to see what kind of materials are being used for these plates. And finally, I want to mention to everyone that I'm not an NIJ lab. If you see a threat stopped or penetrated over here, you should always defer to the manufacturer to produce accredited lab results and recent lab results showing that those threats are stopped. And on the flip side, if you're the manufacturer and you see me stop M855A1 going 3,500 feet per second, you should send that off to a lab and have that added as a special rifle threat to your panel. Plate number 1 is strapped in and ready to go. I apologize in advance about any wind noise that the microphone picks up. Since this is a level 3 plate, I figured we'd start off right with the NIJ Level 3 spec, and that is M80 ball, right around 2,750 feet per second. We've got a 24-inch here, so we're going to see well over that. This plate is rated for AP threats, so it should handle these just fine. We have our Winchester M80 ball here. What's unique about this particular bullet is it does have a bimetal jacket, meaning that the jacket is copper and some kind of steel, so it attracts a magnet, as you can see there. We've got our YHM R9 up front here. Keep the golfers happy. We'll take 3 hits of this. Check the back face. The clay is nice and warm. It's about 70 degrees outside today, and it's been heating up all day. But our first shot was right here. Our second was right there. It looks like we were off to the right a little bit. I may need to adjust my scope, because then our third shot was right there. You could argue that that is a fair hit in the grand scheme of things. Now, for NIJ Level 3 or 06, that would be 6 shots of M80 ball on one plate. For the upcoming RF1 and 2, it would only be 3 in some different varying patterns. Place those bets in the comments below. As I mentioned, the clay is warm, so a back face could be a little excessive because the clay is soft. No pass-throughs, folks. Now you can see on the back side of the plate that the dimple, even on the first shot, isn't that excessive, and neither is on the second or third. Now, other YouTube channels who test these, we're looking for the back face deformation in the clay not to exceed 44 millimeters, not the actual dimple on the plate. So if we had to measure this guy right here, that's like 53, 54 millimeters. Again, a little on the soft side for the clay. We'll get this all straightened out. That's a little better at 41 for that third shot. Very impressive that it stopped 2 rounds of M80 ball over the NIJ spec, very close to each other. Let's move on to some 5.56 threats. Given this plate's threat rating for some AP 308 threats that we'll get to on plate number 2, I want to show the multi-hit capability of these plates. The Highcom 4S17M did fairly well in our testing, so I imagine this one will as well. We've got our 22-inch armor slayer. Again, I'm always after worst case scenario, so this is kind of, maximum real-world velocity that you could potentially see. In the real world, usually most people are at 20 inches or even our SBR, so there's going to be quite a bit of velocity loss. We've got our 55 grain full metal jacket. That's M193, known for popping steel armor, but polyethylene stops it. We've got M855, that is the 62 grain SS109 penetrator. It has a hardened steel penetrating core, tip, I should say, with a lead core. That's known for popping polyethylene plates, but steel will stop it. And then we've got M855A1, that is the U.S. Army's current issue ball round all the way down to basic. That has a copper core and a very large, hard arrowhead steel tip, known for popping all kinds of various types of armor, and I feel it is one of the most ideal rounds for terminal ballistics. Not the most accurate, but it is pretty darn terminally effective. That one was kind of an edge shot. There goes the label. Last round of M855A1. Nice. We've got 12 freaking hits of 5.56 on here. M193 number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then our M855 number 1, 2, and 3. Then our M855A1 number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we might have some penetrations down there. Place those bets in the comments below. Helper hand. Let her rip. No pass-throughs, folks. We will have to pull our back cover off here and confirm, but it looks like we've stopped every single threat. Even these ones down here, you can see we're starting to delaminate the plate because we're close to the edge. But look at that, no pass-throughs. Plate number 2 is strapped in, and let's see how this does against our armor piercing threats or advanced threats in .30 caliber. First, we've got our 22-inch TC compass. This should get us towards those specs that Highcom lists. We've got our P80 black tip or M61, 152 grain steel core projectile, early 1950s to the 1960s. I don't know if it's still fielded anywhere. It's got a really long, hard penetrator. Then we've got M80A1, that is the U.S. Army's current issue ball round, all the way down to basic that I'm aware of. Copper core, large, hard arrowhead steel tip, just like M855A1. This one isn't as hard. And then we've got our B32 API, that is in 7.62 by 5.4R, but we've got it loaded in 308. So we'll take a shot of the P80 and M80A1 from this 22-inch to simulate the spec velocity, and then we'll check it out and break out the 24-inch. Then our P80 black tip, I'm going to put right next to it. We've got the 24-inch out now, and we'll take a shot from the M80A1 and the B32. If I'm foreshadowing any bit, the P80 black tip will not be shot out of the 24-inch because I was already over spec from the 22-inch. Then our B32. Our 22-inch M80A1 was right there. Then our P80 black tip was right there. I do believe Highcom rates that at 2,700 feet per second, and we were 200 feet per second over for some reason. That's a hand load of mine, I apologize. Then our 24-inch M80A1 was right there. Then our B32 API was right there. Place those butts in the comments below. Oh, Raggy. We had a penetration, obviously, from the P80 black tip as well as the B32. We'll have to defer to Highcom for what their listed specs are on that. I could be well above that, and I apologize. I figured we'd have a little bit of fun before we step out to our final threat. After all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I don't think these are going to go through in any way, shape, or form, but it's kind of interesting because these are 8.6 black. It's a 300 grain copper solid, so it's a really, really long bullet. So if that ceramic strike face can't degrade that bullet enough by the time it keeps going through, it has a chance of penetrating. We've got a 12-inch PA-10 build with a Faxon 1 and 3 twist barrel. Got the pork chop up front from Q. I brought out our new King of Speed. This is from KAK Industries, a big thank you to them. This is 22 Creedmoor. Effectively, this is like a more efficient 22-250. We have faster twist rates with this. This is a 1 in 7, so we can stabilize some very, very heavy bullets, or in the case of me, we can put some military bullets in this for loading. We've got 2 rounds of M193 and then 3 rounds of M855A1. I think we got a velocity reading. Then we'll put that other one right next to it. And my strap's gone. All right, this should be pretty easy to see. Our 8.6 black shot number 1 and 2, right on the money. Our M193 22 Creedmoor number 1 and 2. And then the 62 grain was a little lower than I anticipated for some reason. Shots number 1, 2, and then 3. Helper hand, hold the plate. Place those bets in the comments below. No pass-throughs, folks. Even our M193 and M855 at insane speeds on a compromised plate from 2 penetrations from an AP threat, that strike face took those and ate them for lunch and asked for more. That's impressive. We will get these torn down and confirm any pass-throughs, but very, very impressive for a quote-unquote 3+ plate. This is more so like a level 4 if anything, downright impressive.
Paging Dr. Matt to surgery. Paging Dr. Matt to surgery.
Now for a fan favorite, the teardown. That's where we can look at the guts and material makeup that make up our body armor panels. And the Highcom ones I'm quite surprised about. Here is plate number 1. We took the outer cover off. I will say the outer cover is fairly easy to take off on the Highcom because it's kind of like folded over. We'll go to the back first. Confirmed there are no penetrations whatsoever on this plate. It looks like we're using a ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, or PE for short. It is pressed, and we can see how thick that is. I measured that right around 710 thousandths thick. That is a very, very thick boy. You can see how well it's pressed. We're starting to delaminate some of it towards the edges, but if you look at our strike face where we shot those M855A1s, look at how close that is to the edge. And, you know, some companies will say, oh, ceramic can't take edge shots, and that's why they don't shoot them that close. Well, if you got edge-to-edge ceramic, which we do have confirmation on, we did stop those. I measured our strike face right around 240 thousandths thick. It is alumina, as you can see. Even that shot over there, look at how close that is to the edge. This strike face is laminated. You can see we've got polyethylene on the front of it. This was another part of the laminating layer there as well. This is a very smart thing to do. The longer you can keep this ceramic together, the better. Just like with the Highcom 4S17M, this is our drop face protectant. It is like a plastic honeycomb type material. It does blow apart fairly well, but it does its job at preventing our strike face from being cracked. If I could offer any constructive criticism for Highcom, it would be to add a little bit of foam on the outermost edge to protect it against any bumps and bruises, but otherwise, impressive. And then on to plate number 2. Confirmed, as I'm cutting myself with ceramic, the only penetrations were the the P80 black tip, well above their spec, as well as the B32. This one took a little more beating energy wise, and you can see with that much polyethylene we're starting to delaminate it a little bit, but it held up fairly well. There is our strike face. Nice. You can see that discoloration from the B32 API. I did get one of our 8.6 blacks out of there, and you can see how much that bullet is left. Unfortunately, with how thick that polyethylene is, it kind of just bunched over that tip and then slowed it down. The other one is in there and is kind of all bent out of shape. Very, very impressive Highcom for such a thin ceramic strike face. Had we had taken some of that polyethylene away and got that strike face right around 300 thousandths, it probably would have done better at stopping the P80 and the B32. But for a level 3 plus plate, you know, I don't want to say you're completely immune to it, but 5.56 would be no problem for this plate in the real world. Well, everyone, I would say that performance is going to be hard to beat in a level 3 plus. Some of the performance aspects of our Highcom 3S9M are that of a level 4 plate. I was amazed at what we were able to stop with such a thin ceramic strike face. I don't think anyone's tested any of the 3S9Ms, at least on video. So I was expecting that ceramic strike face to be, you know, 350 thousandths thick. And what it was able to accomplish at only 1/4 of an inch thick is downright amazing. I like that Highcom is pressing their polyethylene so that when it does take hits, those layers aren't delaminating and allowing follow-up hits to find their way through. We have a full edge-to-edge strike face. I like the drop face protectant that Highcom is using. That little honeycomb material seems to do really well at absorbing impacts and preventing our strike face from cracking, as well as them actually laminating the strike face. That is one of the best things to do for multi-hit performance. We were a little overzealous with our 30 cal AP threads. Again, that's on me. I hand load those, and because I shoot pretty much year round, sometimes I meet velocity spec in the fall, and then when it gets to be about 70 degrees outside, those loads tend to warm up. I know I'm going to get asked this in the comments below, but where would I place our Highcom 3S9M in our list of preferred Level 3 Plus? I'm going to place this guy right at the top, mainly because of the build quality and the amount of threats that we were able to stop. Now, the only negatives that I can think of on this particular plate is that it is on the thicker side, 1.2 inches thick, and given it is listed as a 10 by 12, its actual size is 9.5 by 11.5. Now that may not be an issue for some because you're still getting a majority of coverage complete edge to edge, but if you have a particular plate carrier, you may want to ensure that that fits in there very nicely. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here, but at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible because there's a lot that goes into them. Number one is my family. Deacon came out today with the wife to help us get some of this done. Number two is my Patreon, Subscribestar, and YouTube channel memberships. I have a little campsite link in the description below. It's just a landing page for various links that help me. I have various discount codes or affiliate tracking links that cost you nothing and they earn me a sales commission. And what I do with that is I put it right back in the channel. I buy different supplies like guns or the AP ammo. Number three is Highcom. Again, in full transparency, sold me those plates at a slight discount for me to test with no strings attached. Number four is John over at Apex Armor Solutions. Again, in full transparency, sponsored this video. I will put his link in the description below. So if you're looking at picking up a set of these Highcom 3S9Ms, it's an easy click to get there. And of course, number five is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.